Hi. So it is clear to me that some of you would prefer to learn by watching instead of by reading. So I'm going to show you how you need to set up your course settings. We had our first day of remote learning today, and as we had that first day of remote learning, what we learned is that some of our settings are keeping our kids from being successful. So I'm going to take you into my first class. I went to manage courses, typed in my name, and I'm going to start with this one because I haven't done this one yet. So I'm going to click the box next to the name of my first class, and then I'm going to click Edit Course Options. There are a couple of things that are really critical, and I'm only going to talk about the things that are important for you to know. The first is this box, 60. Doesn't matter what course they're in, the passing threshold is 60. If we set these passing thresholds too high, if a kid does not meet that passing threshold, they technically can get stuck and not be able to move on. Now, I don't know how that's going to work with the next piece I'm going to show you, but we want our kids to take these quizzes and then be able to click the button to go on to the next thing. We don't want to have to unlock content for our kids manually, so we want this to be set at 60. Also keep in mind there's a certain number of fail attempts that we allow. I don't know what the magic number is, but I'm leaving it at 2 for now. Some of you have asked about grading. You see there's a grading method. I'm leaving mine at automatic with a grade, so it'll grade the kids and then I can go back and modify any grades that I feel are unreasonable or unfair. There's also the teacher supported where I do the grading, or the completion grade that just gives them points for doing it. But you're applying it to all the activities in the class. I don't understand this yet, so I'm going to skip it. Guided notes, of course, I'm going to leave that turned on, but now these are the 2 critical points. Pre-testing, this needs to be off. If we click the button to turn this on, then kids can test out of parts of our class. We do not want that for our face-to-face kids. Our alt school kids are working on an accelerated track, so they're allowed to do some of that, but only at the alt school. So this needs to be off for all classes no matter what. And this needs to be on, free movement. We need to let our kids move freely in the course. Here's why. I had a kid in my office today who came to school because he was super concerned that his Edgenuity wasn't working right, and he wanted to make sure he did his remote learning correctly. So we sat down in my office, and because he couldn't move freely in his courses, when we found something that just wasn't working, like he was clicking the button and it wasn't working right, he couldn't do anything else in the class. He was stuck. If we click allow users to move freely in the course, then if kids are, say, in the vocabulary part and it's not working, they can back out of the vocabulary and go on to the lesson. And that's what I want them to do. I want them to email me and say, hey, I couldn't get this to work, but then do the next thing anyway. I don't want them to stop just because something doesn't work. So I'm going to strongly recommend you do allow users to move freely in the course. There are time limits. You can change the time limits for the assessments. And target dates. The target date for our classes right now would be October 23rd, and that's both good and bad. If I set a target date in here, what that'll do is it'll tell my students, hey, you're on track. It'll give them that like little green bar that says you're on track to do this on time, which is great. But the problem, the drawback of doing that is that the dates that Edgenuity puts on different assignments and tasks may not match the dates that I'm going to use in my class in the instructions. So just keep in mind that that could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on your students, and do they understand that the dates in Edgenuity don't match your class, and are they going to follow your Canvas class dates? I don't know. So think about those things. When you've done all of this, okay, so key things, key reminders, 60%, allow users to move freely in the course, no pre-testing options. When we have those 3 things set and the other things set the way you want it, you're going to click Submit All Changes, but we're not done. If you click this button, even though it says recommended, it's not going to make any changes for your students because they're already in the class. What we need to do is switch it to the middle, update this course and all students currently assigned to it, and click Submit. That is the only way the kids in the class are going to see the changes. And we should get Christmas colors, successful changes, but this number shouldn't be 0. If this number is 0, we did something wrong. So those things are things we're going to need to do. Please make sure you set your course options up correctly. If you need to know a little bit more about why each of those options is so important, come see me.